So glad you could get together. I know you just ran from the floor of the Senate where you gave your first major speech in the Senate. We're all going to be looking for that. And so excited about your leadership in every way. The Susan B. Anthony list is particularly proud of you. We have enjoyed being arm in arm with you from your primary until your swearing in, and to have your voice in the Senate as the strong pro-life woman's voice is the way of the future, and it certainly is what the folks back home in every state have been asking for. So thank you, and also for your leadership in the Values Action Team. It's exciting.
Well, thank you, Marjorie, and I really appreciate your leadership and what the Susan B. Anthony list is doing and what you stand for. It's so important for our country, and I really appreciate being here today.
Well, thank you. We've got a big Susan B. Anthony list family that's enjoying this. Will enjoy this on Thursday afternoon. I wanted to ask you to comment on the battle that we found ourselves right in the middle of. We didn't just find ourselves, we actually took on this battle of defunding Planned Parenthood at a point where we are looking very closely at what we want to fund and what we don't. I know that you have a particular professional background in dealing with Planned Parenthood, so to speak, and I wondered if you would just comment on your track record with Planned Parenthood and taking them to the Supreme Court.
When I was Attorney General of New Hampshire, I took a case to the United States Supreme Court, and it was against Planned Parenthood and the ACLU. And New Hampshire had passed common sense legislation, parental notification legislation, because you think about it, I'm the mother of 2 children, to notify parents when their minor daughter was going to have an abortion, so that parents could be there to help their daughter and, hopefully counsel her to not have the abortion, but to be there for as a parent. And I think that legislation went to the United States Supreme Court, and Planned Parenthood was on the other side of my fight in the Supreme Court. That was one I argued myself before the court, and we got the Circuit Court of Appeals that had struck down the case reversed and sent back to the lower courts to help preserve our law. Unfortunately, the state legislature ultimately repealed the law, but it was a very important fight, and so that's been my experience. And when you think about laws like parental notification, here we are, they call us when they want to give our child an aspirin in schools, yet parents in some states don't get notified when their daughter's going to have an abortion. And it's such an important piece of legislation to have those kinds of common sense laws.
Couldn't agree more, and we watched you all along the way and cheered for you. So to have that perspective eye to eye with Planned Parenthood is a bit of experience. Is very important. They've been fighting all over the country, common sense, woman-centered, child-centered laws like this all over the country. So you have a particular perspective, and now that the defunding of Planned Parenthood has gotten to be a truly viable possibility. And when I say defunding, think about it really as what we're doing is privatizing Planned Parenthood. We want them, if they're going to do these activities, they can do it on their own time. I'd like to just get your comments, what you think about this debate and where you think it ought to lead.
Well, I certainly think that when we look at the fiscal state of this country right now, we've accumulated a $14 trillion debt, and Planned Parenthood is a private nonprofit organization that should be sustaining itself. And their corporate business model relies on abortions. Abortions yield 37% of all Planned Parenthood revenues by conservative estimates. And also I'm troubled by what's come out in the videos that have shown that they were essentially looking the other way on sex trafficking. They obviously need to look at their internal management as well, and so that's another reason I don't think it's appropriate to provide taxpayer dollars. It's clear that taxpayer dollars for abortion is not something that I support, and again, their business model really relies on abortions to continue the organization. But also they're a private nonprofit that seeks private donations, and they have in the past made a profit, and so it's clear that they probably, unfortunately, could sustain themselves without taxpayer dollars. And given the fiscal state we're facing in this country, the appropriate thing to do would to not continue to fund them.
I agree. We're both mothers. We cringe at those videos, and frankly, it tears your heart out to see young girls sent back out on the street without the help that they need. So I agree with you, and it's a pleasure to work alongside you in this battle. It's a very level-headed, very fiscally sound approach to measuring whether an organization, in my view, lives up to its promises. You're right that it is a business model that depends upon abortion. That's something that needs to get out there, and I appreciate it. You have any other comments, or is there anything else you'd like to add?
You know, I guess I would just say also, you know, the fact that we saw in those recent videos that they were actually, you know, protecting people who would abuse minor girls, who were trying to use them for sex trafficking. I mean, that raises serious questions that I think also shows that they need to address those institutional concerns that they have within their own management, and certainly another reason why we shouldn't be providing taxpayer dollars to a private organization that at this point certainly is viable without taxpayer dollars as well, unfortunately.
Yes. Senator Ayotte, thank you for taking away from your Senate schedule and spending some time with us. We're cheering you on, and we appreciate all your work for women.
And Marjorie, thank you for what you're doing. Really appreciate the importance of the Susan B. Anthony list and all of your members for what you're doing for our children.